Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of JaianMusic Notes, the second video version of the podcast. If it's a video version of the podcast, it's a very special episode. Today on JaianMusic Notes, I am honored to be joined by Raj Ramayya, a singer, songwriter, and composer whose voice is woven into the very fabric of anime history. From blending his vocals to Ask DNA in Cowboy Bebop's movie, to the hauntingly beautiful Strangers and Wolf's Rain, to contributing to modern favorites like Made in Abyss, Raj's music has touched fans across generations. Beyond anime, he's worked with legends like Yoko Kanno and many more, and his career stretches into video games, commercials, and his own acclaimed bands. But for anime fans, his voice is instantly recognizable, part of the soundscape of some of the most iconic series and films ever made. Today, we'll dive into how he first connected with Yoko Kanno, what it was like shaping those unforgettable anime songs, and so much more. So please enjoy my interview with Raj Ramayya. Welcome to the show. How are you, Raj?
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited to get into your world. There's so many things to get into. So from Saskatchewan to Tokyo, and now between California and Canada, with all that global perspective, what initially drew you to music? And once drawn into music, how did you realize that it was more than just a passion and truly the path that you're following now for a very long time?
Yeah, for a very long time. I grew up in Saskatchewan, as you mentioned, and got really heavily involved in music in university, and I loved it. I always dreamed that that's all I could do is just do music all day, every day. And then I had an opportunity to go to Japan back in the 90s. And I went there at a very, very opportune time. So the timing was really good. Japan was opening up. There were a lot of foreigners going there for different things, for music-related work, teaching English, modeling. There was just a lot of, they call them talento, there was a lot of need or desire to have foreigners coming in there doing these kinds of jobs in Japan at that time. So I went there, and there was a lot of opportunities. The industry was blowing up just because CD sales were going, you were off the hook, right? It was that time when people were buying CDs and the music industry was on fire. And then, they had this, a lot of other things. The anime and games were just getting started. It was at the very beginning of all of that. And also TV commercials were a big thing in Japan. They were like, TV commercials are very, very popular in Japan. They're like little songs that these composers create. Like big time composers will make TV commercials and little jingles, and these jingles they would sell on CDs, and these jingles would become hits, right? And so I got involved in all of that world, and then of course I met Yoko Kanno through that, the composer for Cowboy Bebop, as well as a lot of other composers. And I was a singer songwriter at the time, so I want to get into composing, but I was doing a lot of session singing for them, and singing TV commercials for them, and co-writing with them, a lot of composers like Yoko Kanno and other people. And then it just started playing, it morphed into playing live music in clubs, and then again doing TV commercials. And then anime and games started coming up, and then there were opportunities in anime and games. And again, it was the late 90s, so that's when things were blowing up, and all that world was very new.
Right.
And I was very lucky, being Canadian. We could go there on a working holiday visa, so that was like a big advantage to go there as a Canadian and get started. And then I started studying Japanese and martial arts there, and it was just all the things I wanted to do kind of were there, and the density of population created lots of opportunities. So yeah, so that's what drew me in, basically. Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned Yoko Kanno, and I think it's a cornerstone of your work for sure. It's definitely something I hear the influences with listening to your music. And when we mention Yoko Kanno, we must mention Cowboy Bebop. It remains one of the most iconic anime soundtracks of all time. And I would love to, if you could take us back to the story of how you first got connected with Yoko Kanno.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, the TV commercials, as a singer, my voice was really in demand as a session singer. in Japan. So I was getting a lot of calls from agencies and management companies who wanted me to write songs with different artists and also to sing TV commercials because they love these Beatlesque voices in Japan.
Oh,
My voice is Beatlesque, and it fit for products, and then so that was my in. A lot of kind of big time composers were actually making their living writing TV commercials,
right.
and so I got a chance to become good friends with them because they'd call me up and say, "Can you sing this?" And I'd go down to the studios with my agent, and that's how I met her.
Okay.
I was singing for some. I can't remember what it was exactly. I've been asked many times, but I'm pretty sure some kids products.
Okay.
And she was working in this a tiny little studio in I think it was in Roppongi, and I remember meeting her for the first time and singing some commercials for her and getting to know her and her manager. At that time, she was with a company called Grand Funk, I believe, as a composer. And this is before Cowboy Bebop, pre any of that anime. It was just
Right.
the beginning of that anime stuff, like late 90s, before all of that stuff really started. I think she was dipping into it, but it wasn't there. And then again, like I said, I met a lot of composers who started in that sort of underground, dingy little studios writing TV commercials world. It was an interesting world. So yeah, that's how I got started. That's where I met her. And then she reconnected with me years later. And said, "Hey, I have some jobs for you to sing for something called anime." And I was like, "I don't know what anime is," and I don't think anybody really knew what anime was at that time. And and that's how we got started, basically.
Wow. So how do you, from that starting point, go into singing Ask DNA, and like how involved was Yoko Kanno with that, like the vocal direction, or like was it freedom to interpret how you wanted? Like how do you jump from the beginnings to singing a very significant song for the Cowboy Bebop movie?
Well, she at the time, as I mentioned, a lot of the Japanese composers and songwriters wanted like a Western influence,
Right.
it's a new flavor in their music. They wanted the British taste, the North American taste, and so there were a lot of collaborative songwriters. Not a lot. There's a group of collaborative songwriters that had moved to Tokyo, like me,
Right.
and wanted to get involved, and so they would invite us to help them demo, right? So we'd write lyrics, so we'd write some melodies, and so I got signed to her label, Victor Entertainment. So I was writing for a lot of different people. I was demoing lots of material, and she was one of many people that I was working with demoing material. So I'd be in my apartment writing some songs and making a demo and sending it in every week, and so she was the most successful, one of the more successful ones. But there were lots of other people I was doing the same thing, co-writing. And I, of course, co-write other songs on Bebop too. But at the time, we were kind of ghostwriters, and so we were just collaborative writers. That we weren't the stars, so we were in the background, kind of working with people, which went on for many years on the label. And so that would be it. She would send a demo, and she'd say, "Sing something on top of this," or I would write an idea, write some lyrics, and then send it over, and she'd say, "Okay, change this, change that," or "I like it. Let's find somebody else to sing it." And that was kind of the same sort of pattern, not just with her, but with a lot of different composers and artists in Japan at the time. Most people didn't speak English, so they needed lyrics, and they didn't have that sort of Western sense of melody. They were sort of figuring out how they were supposed to sound. They wanted to incorporate it, but they're like, it's not very legitimate if it's a bunch of people who studied in Japan writing songs that are supposed to be kind of American or Canadian influenced, North American influenced songs. They needed that sort of that factor in there to make it more authentic, I guess, right?
Right. I see what you mean. And then looking back at all that, like you were saying, like you were more in the background. Did you realize at the time when you were in the background that you would be involved in such a cultural landmark? Like, do you ever like stop by and you're like, I was involved in Cowboy Bebop, and I know it's a much more popular thing here, like Western wise, because I attended a concert this year where Yoko Kanno came to New York. It was like, it was a wonderful experience. But I don't know if it's as big of a like thing in Japan for like specifically Bebop wise, but like still, like, does it ever hit you that you did that?
Nah, it really hit home this tour because I've been touring with Cowboy Bebop live.
Right.
We were actually in New York two weeks after Yoko.
Oh, really?
Ironically, we were down the street playing. We'd missed the chance to connect with Yoko. I was playing on the West Coast. She was playing in New York. We were all the original members were kind of scattered. But then I started performing with Cowboy Bebop live, which is is just the songs of Cowboy Bebop played by a jazz orchestra.
Right.
So I joined them as a singer, and we actually played down very close in Manhattan as well at Irving Plaza. But that tour really drove home to me how much of it is a cultural phenomena. People would come to the shows all over the country. It was sold out all over the country, all over the U.S. And people would come and they would just talk to me about how it really impacted their lives. And I was pleasantly surprised and shocked, actually, that there's like two generations, people that are older that had watched it, and then their kids who are still watching it and then passing the torch on to their kids. So it was like two, sometimes three generations.
I think we're on the third for sure.
Yeah. It's not going to go away. I mean, I'm always surprised. Like, wow, it's still, every time I check, it's like the top of all anime ever. Right. When I look at what are the top 10 anime, I searched it the other day. I was just curious, and Cowboy Bebop was on the very top.
Yeah,
and then another anime that I'd sung for called Made in Abyss was actually number 10 of the top 10 anime soundtracks ever, and that's another good friend of mine, Kevin Pinkin, the guy that I work with sometimes. Yeah, so yeah. So no, I wasn't aware. I'm very happy and pleasantly surprised it's lasted this long. Yeah.
You mentioned Made in Abyss. It was definitely a talking point I wanted to like briefly touch upon, like in comparison to your experience with Bebop, and like just how was entering that animated universe. Made in Abyss, a very particular show.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think Kevin wasn't prepared for that being as popular as it became. He was surprised. No one knows. Everyone's always pleasantly surprised when something takes off. We were working on Tower of God recently too. Second, we worked on the first and the second season, and I think Kevin was just like, he loved anime. Kevin Pinkin contacted me. He was like 18, I think, and I was on my way out of Japan. I was leaving. I was literally packing up my apartment, about to leave and move to California. And he was contacting me about he wanted to get into anime composing. And I was like, great, let's keep in touch. So we kept in touch, and then he got a gig composing for a small anime at that time, Made in Abyss. And then I did one song with him, and it blew up. And now he's like a world-renowned composer for anime, it's funny, I've had this same experience multiple times working with people who've blown up really big. I'm working with a buddy of mine, Lotus Juice, who just blew up with Persona. So it's been great. These, sort of adjacent friends and colleagues that have blown up. And it's interesting how the world that works. And I don't know what it is, but you work with somebody, you go, oh my God. You're like, wow, I'm so happy for you. You've suddenly blown up. Like another buddy of mine, Wilbert Roger, he's a composer for Mortal Kombat, Call of Duty. Now he's blown up on Star Wars. And I think that anime and game music community is very tight.
Yeah.
And it's very tight, and everyone knows everybody else. And you got to be at a certain quite high level, I think, to maintain anything in that community. The standards are so high in anime and games. They're very, very high, right? So it kind of weeds out the nonsense and gets down to the best of the best in there.
Yeah. No, that's well said. And for me, like one of most memorable performances, I love this song, Strangers from Wolf's Rain.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Of course. I mean, I would love to hear about I know it, and obviously involves Yoko Kanno, but like how did how did that collaboration come about, and what was it like bringing such like an emotional song in the series to life? Because Strangers it's a beautiful 5-minute piece that just goes by too quickly, in my opinion. It's so well structured compositionally. I could nerd out about the music all day on this one, but like I would love to hear thoughts.
Well, thank you first of all, and that song it's still in my set when I go tour. It's definitely one of the songs in my
It has to be in the set.
and yeah, and everybody, it's just like it's been so many years later, and still people cry. They'll come up to me later and start crying, and I go like, it wasn't that. I mean, that anime wasn't particularly big, right? Wolf's Rain wasn't that big, but the music from Wolf's Rain is still quite popular. I see on people's YouTube channels like, oh, there's millions of views to that song on multiple channels. Like, wow, that song seems to resonate with a lot of people, and I hear great compliments about it. So. Again, I think that just came because I was working with Yoko and demoing other material, and then she was like, "I think this would be a good song for us to work on and release." But again, we've been demoing other material together, and I think that song kind of stuck, and we both thought it was really good. And I actually came into the studio. I've got a good story with that one too. I came into the studio, and I sang it, and she's like, "No, no, no, no! You don't have the right feeling for it." And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? She said, go away, take a vacation, and come back and sing it again. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I did. And I said, okay, I think I'm burnt out. I'm doing too much. So I'm going to take a vacation. So I went to Thailand and got on a rice boat and went to an island and spent a couple of weeks on this island called Koh Phangan in Thailand. And there's a full moon party. And I had a great time, came back feeling really good. And then I said, I'm back. Let's do it again. Walked in the studio and she's like, that's perfect. That's it. Now you got the right vibe. Now you're feeling it. So
I love it. I love hearing that. I think it's such an interesting perspective because watching her in the live concert that I saw this year, she at the very end took the actual crowd and split it as a choir, and she like took the piano and she's like, okay, you're doing this note, you're doing that note, you're doing this note. And I never saw a human do that before. I found that to be so interesting. So I feel like she has a way to connect emotionally and musically to people and get the best out of their performances. So I think that just what you're telling me, just like it confirms it.
yeah, she is without a doubt a genius, right? I mean, people throw that term around quite a bit, but she is. She absolutely is,
yeah,
right? You know, she's just like, you listen to her music and she's so genius at taking this and that and then like cooking. She's like cooking with ingredients, right? She'll just go, oh, I'll take some turmeric and then I'll take some cinnamon and I'll take this and that and put it all together and finding the right people to work with on the right songs. And it's something that you can't train somebody to be like that. She just has it, and that's just obvious. She's got it, and she's so amazing. Even after all these years, I listen back to other songs and listen back to the seatbelt stuff, and I go like, wow, wow, it's still amazing. And there's young people around me, teenagers who just go like, that seatbelt stuff is amazing, amazing music. So yeah.
And then like your credits stretch from Resident Evil's in there. There's Gungrave, commercials for Coca-Cola, Toyota. It's a wide spectrum for me to wrap my mind around. And preparing for this interview, I was like, how do I even ask a question about that? And so I came up with this. Like, it's like, how do you shift gears between like anime, games, ads? Like that's I don't know anyone else who does that. So I think you're probably like it's a very particular thing, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate that I have those opportunities. I'm very grateful for them. I'm doing a little bit different these days. I'm scoring some movies right now, independent feature movies, and touring a bit more, going out and playing a bit more than usual. Once in a while doing some anime and some games. So I'm kind of spreading myself out. I think it's just, again, that music crowd that's, part of the anime and game music crowd, where everybody is, I think, very serious about what they do. They don't take themselves seriously, but they take the music seriously. And then they're able to switch between different things. Just because I think we've been trained and raised on this culture, we have to think on our feet and come up with stuff quickly. If you're working on a game, you have to come up with quite a bit of music quite quickly, right? For the developers. If you're doing a TV commercial, it's spontaneous. You've got literally a few hours. You start becoming hardwired for doing things quickly and doing things really well. I think it's also because this is what we do for a living, so we have to be able to switch gears and do different things, and then also I think just having a community of people you can call. Like I just started working with Pete McConnell. You probably know him from Psychonauts and World of Warcraft and Sly Cooper and all those games. So I need some help with something, and I called Peter, and he lives here in California. I said, "Come on over. I need some help. I need your input." And so that's another thing too. There's a lot of collaborations between people, and the collaborations. Again, no one does it all by themselves. Even Yoko works with other people, and so the collaborations are what keep it fresh and bring new things in. If you're just by yourself, in my opinion, it starts to sound too much like just you. I think the collaborations, good composers. What's the expression? Bad composers borrow, good composers steal, right? And then they find, you steal the best bits of it, and you find all these people that you can work with that bring something new to the table. And I love doing that. I'm always inviting people. I'm working with Akira Yamaoka now from Silent Hill on a couple of projects. The composer, he's amazing, and so I send him something, and I come back and he blows my mind. I go, I would never have thought of that. That's amazing, He adds that Silent Hill flavor, and I go like, okay, wow. I mean, just when I send him something, I go, there's nothing you can probably do on this. It's already done. He'll come back with something like, oh my God, it's incredible. Okay, great. That's why you're so world renowned, because you have that sense of what should go where, basically.
Right. What should go where? I understand what you mean. And out of all the the commercial credits, the jingles, is there maybe one that fans might not realize was you, that you made, and that you're particularly proud of, that we wouldn't know, like archival, something you can yeah.
I think the one of the biggest commercials I did was a Toyota commercial for a Honda commercial for Starting Over with the John Lennon song, just like Starting Over.
Oh, really?
And I got to meet Yoko Ono after I sang it in Japan, and my publisher was like, this is, I had to sign an NDA and everything, and then the publisher said when the song came out, it was a big campaign, and apparently Yoko Ono had to sign off on who the singer was, right? She had to approve the voice. And so she approved the voice. I did a couple other commercials as well as John Lennon commercial songs, and then they invited me to an exhibit in Otamachi in Tokyo, which was an auction of John Lennon's stage clothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went down to the auction, and my publisher said, "Yeah, you've got an invitation from Yoko Ono and the publisher to go down there," and they said she might even say hi. And so I went down there. I was the only non-Japanese person in the whole place, so I was just kind of stood out. And I went to the bar to get a drink, and this lady comes up to me in a big floppy hat and huge glasses, and really tiny lady. She goes, "I love your voice. Good job."
That's amazing.
She left, and that was it. And I was like, okay, I think that was Yoko Ono.
What else do you need, though, right? That's all you need.
Yeah, and that was my big thrill. I was like, it was over in 10 seconds. I was like,
talk about a moment.
It's over. Yeah, what a moment, right? It was a moment. Wow. I told my kids about it, and they're like, wow, that was pretty quick. 10 seconds? I said, yeah, it wasn't even 10, maybe 5 seconds. Right?
It felt like slow motion.
Slow motion. I was like, and then she just left, right? There's nothing else. So.
There's a lot going on that evening. Wow. Okay, great. I was looking into your personal projects, The Beautiful Losers, and you opened for Coldplay. How is writing for a band for you different from collaborating in the anime gaming scene that you were describing earlier? Because I feel like probably that's much more personal.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been really into songwriting. I think that's been my main thing. I've always been a songwriter and a singer-songwriter, and so the collaborative songwriting has always been my passion and something that I've done naturally. Kind of did that, especially in Canada in the '90s, where everybody was in an alternative rock band. Right. It was like everybody I knew was in an alternative rock band, right? And so we were all experimenting with different ways of writing songs, and I brought a lot of that with me to Japan. Composing is a different ballgame. It's very different. You are making music for the narrative. You're writing to a picture. You're making music for a narrative, whereas songwriting, you're just writing whatever you're feeling.
Right.
That came very naturally. The composing thing took me some time to learn how to use a digital audio workstation really, really well, to write string orchestrations and to really get into the minutia of like sound libraries and things like that. So, but as a songwriter, I felt that was natural. And it was always like felt good to me and easy. And then I've really gotten deeper into composing and these days, and it's hard. It's hard work. It's very hard work, but it's very gratifying. And I think the game and anime people are very much like that. They're really into those soundscapes. Right. And really into the minutia, right, as opposed to just picking up an acoustic guitar and writing a song, like that, which indie, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's just more technical-minded people, really technical-minded people, and very, very, very nerdy people too.
Yeah, computer music. Yeah, absolutely. We welcome that. Absolutely. I love to hear that. And then, and please correct me if I'm mispronouncing this, because your project, is it Bahang Lassi? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, it started off as Bang Lassi, which is an Indian. It's a milkshake that people used to party with. So it's got some. It's a cannabis milkshake basically.
Okay.
And it's called Bang, and Bang was just a kind of like hashish or something that went into the milkshakes in Goa. Right. And then people would drink and then they dance all night. So I thought that's a cool name for them.
I like the name. Yeah. No, the blend of of all the sounds in there was super interesting. Winning best Canadian soundtrack is what I saw. What draws you to a fusion project like that?
Yeah, it's just my roots. My family came from India originally, of course, and immigrated to Canada back in the '60s, and I wanted to pay homage to my roots. And I always loved classical Indian music, but I also love electronica and rock. So I was like, okay, I want to take my Canadian side of electronica and rock music and put it together with the Indian side, something spicy and like those kind of trippy psychedelic sitars and the tablas. So so the Bang Lassi was great. I did it for a soundtrack for a Canadian documentary that my brother directed and produced. So that was a great experience, and it opened my eyes to that world. I was like, okay, that's another world of electronic fusion music, and 6 Degrees Records in San Francisco were a big influence. I was like, I love all these artists. Right. Oh my God, they're so eclectic, taking electronic music and Arabic music and electronic music and Egyptian and electronic and African. And I just thought that was just amazing. I just loved it. I'd go to their 6 Degrees parties and parties like that all over the club parties and hear these amazing DJs and bands. And I was just moved by all of that. And
of course.
I found that scene was in Tokyo too. I got deep into that scene.
Yeah.
There are artists like Makyo and other artists in Tokyo that were doing the same thing, and I got together with those guys and I started, collaborating with them and getting to know them. And then at the same time I was playing in rock bands and in clubs. So I was doing both. And I'm glad I did. It was Japan's very eclectic, right? They're very open to those things as opposed to the West, where it just wasn't as big, right? It was more like Europe and Asia love that kind of stuff, and North America wasn't really ready for it yet until now. Now I think they're ready for that stuff. So
absolutely. And then there was Raj and the Zen Masters. I'd love to hear more about that project, because you're basically performing anime and game classics live with that project, from what I understand. Yeah, I still do that. I've kind of blended these different things together. So yeah, I'm still doing the anime and game. I was doing this metal band. We were some really cool people from 80s rock bands like Whitesnake. Remember Whitesnake? Of course.
And Whitesnake and some other big 80s bands. I got together with them and they said, let's play. We wanted to go play at the anime conventions doing hard rock metal covers of Attack on Titan, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Chala Head Chala, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. And we did that for a while. It was a lot of fun. Great project. And then COVID started.
Of course,
we kind of blew that up. We're like, okay, take a break from all that stuff for a while. And but yeah, I'm still out doing the conventions again and touring. But I've kind of put those things, I blended them all together. in my new Raj Ramayya solo projects. I put
Okay.
the Indian fusion stuff, the kind of anime music, rock music, and then some of the other band, the Beautiful Losers, that kind of pop rock kind of thing. I put
Yeah.
all those together, and I've been releasing my own albums, just calling it Raj Ramayya, but pulling all of those things together into one project so that there's one place people can land on Spotify and listen and go, okay, cool. That's all those different flavors in one place.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've been focusing on, putting it all together instead of separating it, put it all together into one package, and it's done well. I mean, the first release, I think top 10 on Apple Music.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and top 50 on Billboard. And then the second one, same thing. I think top 15 on Apple Music, and it did quite fairly well too. So there people are listening to it. I'm happy. I mean, I'm trying to obviously reach out to more people.
Of course,
and get people to listen to it. And I think the anime people seem to like it because I've been blending my original music with my well-known anime songs together, right. And then I'm playing my set. Well, I'll do like 2 or 3 originals. I'll throw in an anime song that I've written or co-written, and then a few more originals and another anime song, and of course strangers. Yeah, it's been good. I think that it works. It checks all the boxes.
Right.
Basically with everything. Yeah.
How long did that take to come together? Because it feels like there's a lot of steps to like kind of find the sweet spot. Like, how do you even find that spot?
Yeah, it took a while. Trust me, it took a while. I was like, oh my God, I was like, how do you put all these things together? Right. I mean, if you go to Spotify, you can listen to the first album, Spicy Beats, where it's a lot of really classical Indian music mixed with a lot of electronic rock beats and guitars. And then the second album was a little bit more pop, spacey, psychedelic pop with the Indian influence. And then I'm working on the third one right now. Well, third one right now. And this one's going to be called Spice Cowboy. And I'm trying to bring in some of the Cowboy Bebop stuff into it. And so mix the electronic Indian music with the jazz, with the pop, the psychedelic pop. Let's see if I can actually do this. I'm talking big, but let's see if it actually happens.
I think you can. I think you definitely can.
I hope so. Yeah. I'm like, how do I get all these things, pack them all into 10 songs, and so that's what I'm doing right now. So I love it. It was the first one, Spicy Beats, and then Spice Age Adventures, and then now the new one's Spice Cowboy. And I'm excited and happy about it, and I hope people enjoy it.
No, of course. I think that like a recurring theme that I'm noticing as the more I'm talking to you is that you've like worked with a lot of legends. You've like and if I may like extend that to like I like definitely you qualify as that. I consider definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
that.
Yeah,
of course. What would you say is like a common thread for that great musicians like that all share? I'm sure there's millions of them, but like, is there like a very specific one that comes to mind when I ask you this question?
I think that I think one thing that does come to mind is they take their music seriously, but they don't take themselves seriously. They have a great sense of humor. They're very kind. They're very generous with things, and they're very professional. But again, they're not divas, right? I noticed that the really good ones are not divas. They're very warm people, and they're willing to work with other professionals, and they have a great attitude, a professional attitude. And the professional attitude is not complaining, but finding solutions, not finding problems, right? I think that's really, to me, that's what it is. People who find solutions and don't find problems, not looking for problems, they're looking for solutions to fix things and make things better, and they've got a great attitude. I think that's what they all have in common.
Wow, that's very well said. And when speaking more like personally for you, for your career, through like the different genres, like games, anime, commercials, the personal projects, what's the through line? Like what ties it all together? Like, what do you feel? Because they all kind of happen at different phases of your life.
Yeah, no, they do. I think what ties it all together is that I I love doing this, and I would do this regardless of whether people, were successful. I mean, what's successful? I mean, whether it was super popular or not, I would
Right.
continue doing it. I think you do it because you love it, and then you hope people really enjoy it, and it means something. And I found that going on tour, I get to talk to people, and it's not online where it's hard reading comments because you don't know if that's authentic or not, But when you play shows and you're in front of people, then you know what's authentic. And I think that the through line with all that is when it touches people, I feel like everything I've done has meaning and value. And that's what I meant, like the bebop tours and other shows. I go like, well, I talk to people after the shows and we have a hug. Right. And like I said, they cry sometimes, and I go, okay, you just made it all worthwhile. You made the last 20 years worthwhile of doing this because that meant something to you. And that means that what I'm doing has some value to somebody else.
Of course.
Most important thing to me. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's the human aspect of music. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very human. I'm always shocked and surprised how especially with anime, you can make a great album, but with an anime, it's just so personal for people. It's it resonates with them on a very personal level, and like nothing else does. It's I think that great songs, of course, resonate with people anywhere. But with the anime, it's different. It's a different thing, I can't explain it, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Personal impact with people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking more on like anime and themes, like if there was one anime or even game theme, we'll expand it to both universes. Why not? That like you could reinterpret in your own style today if you had like the time on top of everything else already going on. Like what's that one thing you're like, oh, I need to release my own version of this because I know I can interpret it in a very special way, and it will happen one day. Like this, is there one that hits you like that?
That's a great question. I honestly, wow. I don't know. I don't know about that. That's a really, really good question. I've done some anime covers, interpretations of anime songs, and it's been fun. Wow, I have to think about that one. Nothing comes to mind immediately. I'd have to think about that one. I'm not sure which one I'd like to reinterpret. There are lots of them out there that I love and admire, but I go like, can I do better than what the original was?
What's already available? Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, right? I know that people love covers, and I love doing covers of other songs, but it's tough. It's tough to do that, right? It's tough to find that line where you go like it's cool because it's slightly different, right? And it's a cool interpretation of it. I'd have to say something from Final Fantasy if I had to say something. Yeah. It'd be something. Yeah, it'd be something from Final Fantasy. Yeah. For sure. I think that would
fantastic soundtrack. Absolutely.
I met Nobuo Uematsu, the composer, many years ago at a convention, and I was asking him, so what are your influences? And then he says, oh, British rock. And I was like, British rock? I was like, that's my influence. Like, how do we have this in common? Because I love British rock bands. Like, I'm a big Radiohead fan, and Oasis, and the Beatles, and Zeppelin. And he goes, all these British rock bands are what inspired me for the Final Fantasy stuff. And I was like, are you kidding me? But apparently that's true. I looked it up and it's true. A lot of Japanese composers from his era loved British rock. So, because I was expecting to see Stravinsky or
I would have expected something like that and more classical stuff. Yeah.
No, he said, British rock. Yeah, it's shocking. And I dug deeper and asked a lot of my composer friends, and they're like, I listen to a lot of rock, man. I was classically trained, but I listened to a lot of rock. Or Uematsu, I'm not sure if he was classically trained, but a lot of composers are not. So and a lot of British rock is influenced by classical music, like Bach or something, or Rachmaninoff or something like that. And then we get that influence from them. Mm-hmm. Then we translate that into maybe an orchestral piece or something.
Right.
And I think that maybe that's why Final Fantasy resonates. It's just got this powerful rock, thundering rock vibe to
It's
it.
so alive. That music is so alive. Yeah, absolutely. Are there other interactions with composers that you've had, like that, like kind of took you by
Yeah.
surprise, like kind of like a British rock? Like, have you had other like British rock moments, talking and like networking and everything?
Well, I hear a lot of composers tell me, like a lot of my friends who are quite big time composers say that they're big fans of Yoko Kanno.
Yeah, of course.
A lot. It's like, I mean, I mean, really, I wasn't aware of that, and so when I go to game conventions now, and then people come up to me and they go, "Oh, you worked with Yoko? What's she like?" And I'm heavily influenced. I'm like, "Oh my God, like you're a huge composer in the game and anime world," and but she set the bar so high so many years ago, like 25 years ago, 20, 30 years, almost 30 years ago when she started doing this. 30 years ago. So these composers are in their 40s. So they were like kids listening to her, right? And then from that, listening to me, and then going like Yoko Kanno has inspired us. And then we know you through her. And I was like, I never thought about it, but it literally is 30 years ago.
It is.
Yeah. So if they're in their 40s now, they were like 10 years old or their teens when they started listening to her. So that now it makes sense to me. They go, okay, I get it now because she really started the whole landslide of music. I feel like she's one of the people that started this landslide of anime music, right? So.
Absolutely. I think she's like foundational when it comes to that. Like it's undeniable. To go back to that concert in March, the first like half was just the band playing, and everyone was like, "Okay, is Yoko coming?" Because like her face was on this poster, like we're waiting. And the second she gets on stage, the place erupted. And I was like, I can't even hear my own thoughts. Like, it's
yeah. I know. She's just phenomenal. Yeah, and it's just like it's just never gonna go away. You know, it's crazy. And she doesn't really want to get. She's not like a touring person. You know, she doesn't want to get out and like tour like 100 days of the year or anything like that. She'll just do a kind of an appearance here, an appearance there.
Right.
She'll call somebody and say, "Hey, I'm going to be doing this. You want to come and sing?" You know,
Yeah.
She's just that's just who she is, you know. And I think her eccentric sort of character makes it more interesting because it's mysterious. Absolutely. It's not like she's going to come through your town, your city every year at the same time again, or play at every festival. That's not how she is at all. No.
If I'm not mistaken, like that concert was her first time in North America, point blank, doing a tour. Like from my research, unless I'm mistaken, and I saw
she did a couple of shows at anime conventions.
Okay, anime conventions as well. Okay, fair enough. But just the point, the overarching point for me was going to be that I saw that I was like, I'm booking my ticket. I'm taking a bus all the way from Montreal to New York. Like,
fantastic, you did that.
Yeah, so glad
Yeah, no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. No problem. And I was wanting to like slowly closing out here. There's so many styles of music we talked about that you've like touched, like electronica, rock, and all the anime stuff. Is there a genre that you haven't explored yet and you secretly want to, and you haven't admitted yet on video that you want to say?
It's funny because I was just talking to some people in the studio, and gospel is something.
You would have given me 5 guesses. I went gospel.
Yeah, because I it's so funny because it keeps coming up, right? And it's something just because of the emotion behind gospel, and it's something that I've never really explored before. There's always been the blues influence, the rock, of course, the jazz with Yoko, the electronic music, the Indian fusion, all the electronic music I worked with in Japan, Indian fusion. But I've never explored gospel, and I'm here in the U.S. quite a bit, right? Quite a bit of the year. And so gospel is something, I mean, country, because I've got some country influences in my music for sure. But I've never, ever touched gospel, and I love the gospel vocals. I love the beauty of these huge choirs and everything. So it's something I think I might take a jump into that at some point and try to put that into. I'm working on I can't say what it is yet, but I'm working on a really beautiful documentary feature, and which is going to have a lot of electronic club music.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna look into some gospel.
I love it.
For that, because I just go like it's just one of those things that I've never really explored, and I think it's time.
Absolutely. All right. Do you ever get recognized for your commercial work, and have you had any like memorable or funny stories from that side of your career where people like take you aside or like, Raj, are you from Toyota? You know, like have you had one of those types of moments?
Well, I mean, the TV commercials in Japan were like a big deal.
Yeah.
People would lose their mind over the TV commercials. And I had back in the year 2001, I think, I had a big hit with a song called Time to Go. It was, again, a Beatles kind of song.
Okay.
It was a TV commercial for Docomo, the major telephone carrier in Japan.
Okay.
And this song was released as a single, and it went to the top of the Oricon original content charts in Japan. It was like top 5 or something, and it stayed there. And people were like, "Oh my God, this is like what's going on? Like it's like this big hit, and it's everywhere you go." And I'll send you a copy of it. Actually,
I'd love to listen to that.
And like the lyrics make no sense, and it's like what is this? It's just like we just spur of the moment. Like I said, we had to do these things on demand. So, and this song became a mad huge hit, and I was like so shocked and surprised. And then Universal Records calls us up. We want to release this song as a single, and I was like, okay, why don't we do a whole album around it? They said, okay, 2 more songs. Then we wrote 2 more songs. We released it, which didn't really do much, but. The original song did very, very well.
Wow.
And that, to me, that was like weird. And then I remember it was just when people were starting to build websites.
Okay.
And this guy built a website, this super fan built a website for me for that song. He was so into that song. He built I don't know if it's still there. I should find out. But my manager at the time called me up. He said, yeah, someone built a website for you for that song. And I was like, you're kidding. Like, this is the year 2000, right? People are not really... Websites were just .com was just started to take off, basically.
Right.
So, and then they call the people that love these TV commercials, they collect the CDs, right? Mm-hmm. And they go to they collect the jackets of the CDs. And it was, and so every time a TV commercial comes out, you have people who are just TV commercial fans. And when I came to the US, I was trying to explain that to people, and they're like, I don't get it. Like, you know what I mean? It just isn't a thing here, but in Japan, it was a big thing. And I think it still is to a large degree, but not like it was in 15 years ago or something like that, where it was an industry.
Right.
Like you'd have a big TV commercial song, and then you could become a huge artist because of that song.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So.
I love it. I love hearing that. Yeah, Raj, I want to thank you so much for giving me the time. It's been such a lovely conversation. It's been so interesting to dive into your universe. It's
thank you.
Of course.
I'll send you some material. Some TV commercials, some wacky TV commercials with the visuals.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, you'll be like, what is that? Like, what's going on? The Japanese TV commercials are totally crazy. They're interesting and weird, but cool, right?
Yeah, I've been. I went to Japan last year, and it's kind of become a joke on the show. I always talk about my Japan trips, and so I just arigato gozaimasu. It's been...
yeah. Otsukaresama. You should say after you finish. Otsukaresama. Otsukaresama deshita.
Sugoi desu. Where can people find you? Like what? If you want to promote specific things right now, I'll have this out in maybe a week or two. With everything, is there anything in a general sense that you'd like to promote and tell people about?
Yeah, you can follow me on Spotify. Just Raj Ramayya on Spotify, Ramayya, and follow me on Instagram as well. I'm finally doing social media. I'm getting serious about it. So everyone's been bugging me, so I'm finally doing social media. I will be on tour in the U.S. I've got 3 dates with Lotus Juice, the rapper from Persona Reload, the game. So I got 3 dates with him. I'll be in Vegas, San Diego, and then in Ventura, California. Then I start touring with Akira Yamaoka from Silent Hill. We'll start at Florida at Universal Studios Hard Rock Live. And then I will be at Hotel Cafe. Hang on a sec, I'll check the date for you right now.
Of
Hotel
course.
Cafe. Doing a solo acoustic show in LA. and that's going to be. Let me see here.
Of course, take all the time you need to find that date. Like everything that Raj is talking about will obviously be linked in the description. So please go follow the Spotify and the Instagram. Go support the beautiful music.
Cut all this out if you want to.
No worries. No, we can take all the time we need. I'm very natural with these interviews. Of like, if you need to check your phone to find the thing that you need to find.
Oh, thank you.
Of
November 12th, I'll be playing in LA at Hotel Cafe,
Perfect.
which is a beautiful singer-songwriter venue. So I'll be doing solo acoustic there, playing with a full band with Lotus Juice at 3 venues. We'll start at Vegas, then we're going to go to San Diego, then we'll be in Ventura. Then I fly over to Orlando, Florida to do, again, Universal Studios at Hard Rock with Akira Yamaoka from Silent Hill. Wow. And then other dates will be announced. I'll be hopefully with Cowboy Bebop live.
Yeah.
We'll be touring across Canada.
Okay, if there's a Montreal date, I'm there.
I hope.
Yeah. If there is, just know at least one ticket sale will happen.
Yeah. I want to go home and play in Canada for sure. That's going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
Again, so yeah, and more dates I'll be announcing pretty soon. There's a few more dates coming up, and I will announce those and let you know.
All right, Raj, thanks again. I really appreciate you taking the time for this.
No, thank you for having me.
Of course. I'll end the recording now, and I'll wish you a great evening.
Yeah. Great talking to you, John. And if you need anything, let me know. I'm around.
Of course.
Okay?
Okay, sounds good. I appreciate that.
All right. Take care, man.